Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into the world of Washington quarter dollar coins, one of the most collected and valuable U.S. coins. If you've ever wondered about the history, the hidden value, and the rare quarters that could be worth far more than their face value, then you are in the right place. These Washington quarters are not just ordinary coins. Some of them are highly collectible and can be very valuable. And in this video, I'll be sharing everything you need to know. That's why I encourage you to stay with me and watch this entire video until the very end, because you never know which Washington quarter might be sitting in your pocket or coin collection right now. And before we get started, make sure you instantly click that subscribe button so you never miss any of my updates about valuable coins, rare finds, and hidden treasures in everyday change. Let's get started. First up, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark is one of the most talked about and highly searched coins in the world of United States coin collecting. And in this video, we are going to take a deep look at this valuable coin. The 1965 Washington quarter marked the beginning of a major change in U.S. coinage, because up until 1964 quarters were made of 90% silver. Starting in 1965, the United States Mint transitioned to a copper-nickel clad composition, removing silver entirely from quarters meant for circulation. This change created a lot of interest among collectors and coin enthusiasts, and the first year of the clad Washington quarter, which is 1965, holds a special place in American numismatic history. The 1965 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and all coins from that year carry no mint mark. While many people think of this quarter as common pocket change, in reality, certain examples of the 1965 Washington quarter can be quite valuable, especially when you consider errors, varieties, and high-grade conditions. That is why this coin should never be overlooked, because it can carry far more value than its face value of 25 cents. When we talk about the 1965 Washington quarter, it is important to understand the historical context. This was the time of the Coinage Act of 1965, which permanently changed the composition of U.S. dimes, quarters, and later half dollars. Collectors were shocked by the removal of silver, and many people hoarded the older silver coins, creating a shortage in circulation. As a result, the 1965 Washington quarter was produced in massive numbers to meet demand. Yet even though millions were made, finding a coin from this year in pristine condition is a real challenge. The majority of these coins circulated heavily, meaning most have scratches, dings, and wear. But if you happen to find a 1965 Washington quarter dollar in superb condition, it can command very strong prices among collectors. Some examples in mint state or even special strikes can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, making this coin a potential hidden treasure. Another fascinating aspect of the 1965 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark is the existence of transitional errors and rare varieties. Because the switch from silver to clad happened suddenly, there were reports of a few 1965 quarters being accidentally struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from 1964. These transitional error coins are extremely rare and are considered highly valuable by collectors. If you ever find a 1965 quarter that looks a little different in color, weight, or sound compared to normal clad quarters, you should have it carefully examined, because it could be one of those rare silver transitional errors worth thousands of dollars. These valuable errors make the 1965 Washington quarter one of the most exciting coins to research and collect. Even though the standard issue clad quarter is common, the possibility of rare errors adds tremendous interest to this coin. The design of the 1965 Washington quarter continues the classic style that began in 1932, featuring George Washington's profile on the obverse and the majestic eagle on the reverse. The artistry of this design, combined with the historical significance of the silver removal, makes the 1965 Washington quarter an essential coin for any collection. Collectors of Washington quarters often start with the 1965 issue because it represents the beginning of the modern clad era. But what truly makes this coin stand out is the potential for value beyond its face. A regular circulated 1965 quarter might only be worth face value, but an uncirculated gem, a special strike, or a transitional error can be worth many times more. That is why it is so important to carefully check any 1965 quarters you come across. In terms of rarity, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins, but condition rarity plays a big role in value. Collectors pay significant premiums for high-grade 1965 quarters that show sharp details, strong luster, and minimal marks. The difference in value between a worn quarter and one in pristine condition can be enormous. A coin that looks ordinary to the untrained eye may be worth far more than 25 cents to a knowledgeable collector. And because many people do not realize that 1965 quarters can be valuable, there's always the possibility of finding one hidden in a coin jar, in pocket change, or tucked away in an old collection. This is what makes the 1965 Washington quarter so exciting, the thrill of discovery and the potential for a valuable find. It is also worth mentioning that in 1965 the U.S. Mint created what are known as special mint sets instead of traditional proof sets. These sets contained specially struck coins with a higher quality finish than regular circulation strikes, but they were not quite proofs. The 1965 quarters from these special mint sets can be very desirable, especially when they show strong detail and attractive surfaces. Many collectors actively search for high-quality special mint set quarters from this year, and prices can be very strong for the best examples. Once again, this highlights the fact that the 1965 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark is much more than just a common coin. It has layers of history, varieties, and hidden value. Collectors also look at details such as strike quality, luster, and eye appeal when evaluating 1965 quarters. Because this was the first year of the clad quarter, the mint was still adjusting to the new composition, and as a result, many coins show weak strikes or uneven surfaces. Finding a sharply struck coin with brilliant luster can be difficult, which increases its desirability. When you add the possibility of transitional errors, rare special mint set examples, and high-grade survivors, the 1965 Washington quarter becomes one of the most fascinating modern U.S. coins. The key takeaway is that this coin is valuable, and it should never be dismissed as ordinary pocket change. If you are sorting through your coins, always pay close attention to the date 1965, and remember that all quarters from this year carry no mint mark. Examine them carefully for unusual weight, unusual sound, or unusual shine, which might indicate a rare silver error. Look for coins with sharp details and minimal wear, as those can bring significant value. And always be mindful of special mint set quarters, because they hold additional collector interest. By knowing what to look for, you can turn an ordinary-looking 1965 Washington quarter into an exciting and valuable discovery. So the 1965 Washington quarter dollar, with no mint mark, is not just an ordinary coin. It is a valuable piece of history, a symbol of change in U.S. coinage, and a potential treasure in your collection. From transitional silver errors to pristine mint state examples, this coin can carry surprising value. That is why collectors and coin enthusiasts continue to search for it, study it, and treasure it today. Next up, the 1972 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark is one of those coins that at first glance seems like just another common piece of pocket change, but in reality, it carries history, importance, and in certain cases real value for collectors. When we talk about the 1972 Washington quarter, we are talking about a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and like all Philadelphia coins from this era, it does not carry a mint mark. That missing mint mark often confuses beginners, but it is a standard feature for coins struck in Philadelphia before 1980. The 1972 quarter belongs to the long-running Washington quarter series that started in 1932, created to celebrate the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. And over the decades it has become one of the most recognized American coins. Even though hundreds of millions of 1972 quarters were made, the details of condition, strike quality, and potential errors can make this coin more valuable than people expect. That's why the 1972 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark deserves attention from collectors and coin enthusiasts, because examples in high grades or with rare characteristics can be worth far more than face value. To understand why this coin can be valuable, we need to remember the background of the Washington quarter in the early 1970s. After the Coinage Act of 1965, The mint had switched from 90% silver to copper-nickel clad composition, and by 1972 this clad quarter was a standard. The coin has an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving it that distinctive silvery appearance. This was the composition used for decades until recent design changes. For everyday people in 1972, this quarter was just a useful coin for vending machines, parking meters, and daily purchases. But for today's collectors, the 1972 no mint mark quarter is a time capsule that represents an important era in U.S. coinage. Most circulated examples may not be worth more than 25 cents, but uncirculated coins, pristine mint state pieces, and rare era varieties can be worth significantly more. That's why you should never dismiss the 1972 Washington quarter without checking it carefully. One reason the 1972 Washington quarter with no mint mark can be valuable is because of condition rarity. Millions of these coins circulated heavily for years, meaning most are worn down with scratches, dings, and loss of luster. Finding one in sharp, mint state condition with full details is not as easy as it sounds. Collectors value coins with brilliant luster, strong strikes, and minimal contact marks, and these examples can bring premiums at auction or in private sales. The difference between a circulated quarter worth 25 cents and a high-grade example can be huge. Some of the finest mint state examples of the 1972 no mint mark quarter have sold for hundreds of dollars or more because collectors recognize how scarce they are in pristine condition. That alone makes this coin worth checking carefully. But beyond condition, the real excitement comes from era coins. The 1972 Washington quarter is known for having some interesting mint errors and die varieties, and these are the coins that can push value even higher. Collectors look for double die obverse or reverses, off-center strikes, clip planchets, or other striking mistakes that occurred during production. A double die coin, for example, shows doubling in the lettering, date, or design elements, and this can make the coin far more valuable than a normal strike. Off-center errors or coins with misaligned dies are also highly collectible, and examples from 1972 are no exception. Because mint errors are unique and eye-catching, they attract strong interest, and a 1972 Washington quarter with a dramatic error can be worth many times its face value. The design of the coin also adds to its timeless appeal. On the obverse is the profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, a design that had already been in use for 40 years by 1972. The reverse features the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. This iconic design, used for decades, gives the coin a strong sense of tradition and familiarity. Collectors value the historical continuity of the Washington Quarter series, and each date and mint mark tells a part of that long story. The 1972 Washington Quarter with no mint mark is an essential part of this series, representing the early clad era, and its place in that history adds to its collectible importance. Another reason why this coin can be valuable is because of the Philadelphia Mint's production practices in the early 1970s. Strikes from this period often show weakness in detail, especially in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. As a result, finding a coin with sharp strike detail is more difficult than one might think. Collectors pay special attention to these features, and coins that show unusually strong detail can be more desirable. Eye appeal matters too. So coins that have retained their original bright surfaces and have not been damaged by cleaning or environmental exposure are worth a premium. Even though the 1972 quarter might look common, those special qualities make it stand out in the market. The 1972 Washington quarter with no mint mark also connects with a larger history of coin collecting in America. By the 1970s, collecting coins from circulation was a popular hobby, and many families set aside quarters, dimes, and nickels in jars or albums. That means there are still 1972 quarters out there in collections, often forgotten and tucked away. Discovering a well-preserved coin from that time can be exciting, and when that coin happens to be a high-grade example or an era variety, it can also be financially rewarding. That's why it is so important to look carefully at coins you come across, because the 1972 Washington quarter is valuable under the right conditions. Even special mint set and proof set collectors show interest in this period, because while the regular 1972 Philadelphia quarters were for circulation, collectors sought out specially struck examples. Proofs that year were struck at San Francisco, not Philadelphia. So when it comes to the no mint mark coin, circulation strikes are the focus. But pristine circulation strikes and era coins remain highly collectible, and those are the coins people look for today. The key point is that while the 1972 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark is common in circulation-worn condition, valuable examples exist. Whether it is a superb uncirculated coin with blazing luster, a rare double die, an off-center error, or simply a sharply struck coin with strong eye appeal, these pieces command attention from collectors. What seems like just another quarter can in fact be worth far more than 25 cents. And the thrill of finding one makes the search worthwhile. So the 1972 Washington quarter dollar, with no mint mark, should never be overlooked. It represents history. It carries the story of American coinage in the 1970s, and under the right circumstances it is valuable. Collectors around the world continue to seek out the best examples of this coin, and for anyone who comes across one, it is always worth taking a closer look. This is why the 1972 no mint mark Washington quarter remains one of the most interesting and potentially valuable coins in circulation. A reminder that hidden treasures can still be found in the change we use every day. Next up, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark is a coin that every collector and coin enthusiast should know about, because while it often looks like an ordinary quarter, it is in fact a valuable piece of U.S. coinage history. The 1967 Washington quarter was struck during a unique period in American coinage, just 2 years after the Coinage Act of 1965, when the United States Mint permanently removed silver from circulating quarters and dimes. Up until 1964, quarters were made of 90% silver, but starting in 1965 the composition changed to a copper-nickel clad over a copper core. The 1967 Washington quarter represents one of the very early years of clad coinage, and because of this historical importance, it carries special interest among collectors. The fact that it has no mint mark often confuses beginners, but that is because between 1965 and 1967, the Mint intentionally omitted mint marks to discourage collectors from hoarding coins during the coin shortage of the mid-1960s. That means all 1967 quarters, no matter where they were minted, carry no mint mark, and that alone makes them distinct. While millions were produced, not all 1967 Washington quarters are the same, and certain examples in high grade or with special characteristics can be very valuable. That is why you should always look carefully at your change, because the 1967 no mint mark Washington quarter dollar is valuable and worth understanding in detail. To fully appreciate the 1967 Washington quarter, you need to consider the historical setting. The coin shortage of the early 1960s had created widespread hoarding of silver coins, and the Mint was under pressure to produce enough coins for circulation. The decision to eliminate mint marks from 1965 through 1967 was part of a strategy to keep collectors from targeting coins from specific mints, ensuring that all coins stayed in circulation. So the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark is both a product of necessity and a piece of numismatic history. Most people in 1967 treated these coins as ordinary spending money, but today collectors recognize their significance. Although hundreds of millions were made, the majority circulated heavily, and most surviving examples are worn, scratched, or dull. But uncirculated 1967 quarters, or coins struck with higher quality in the U.S. Mint special mint sets, can be far more valuable than face value. That is why this coin is not just an ordinary quarter. It is a valuable collectible in the right condition. Condition plays a huge role in the value of the 1967 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark. Coins from circulation are common and usually only worth 25 cents. But coins that have survived in pristine mint state condition can bring strong premiums. Collectors look for coins with bright luster, sharp details, and minimal marks, and such examples can be worth many times their face value. Even more desirable are the 1967 Special Mint Set quarters. Instead of producing proof sets during those years, the Mint issued Special Mint sets and the quarters from these sets have a higher quality strike and finish compared to regular circulation coins. Some have a satin-like surface, while others have a cameo effect similar to proofs, and these are particularly valuable to collectors. If you come across a 1967 Washington quarter with an unusually sharp strike and beautiful surfaces, there's a chance it came from a special mint set, and that makes it more collectible and valuable. Error coins are another reason why the 1967 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark can be valuable. During mass production, mistakes happen, and collectors prize those mistakes because they create unique varieties. Double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, clipped planchets, and other unusual errors can make a 1967 quarter far more valuable than normal. A double die might show doubling in the date, the lettering, or Washington's profile. An off-center strike could show part of the design missing, and such errors attract strong demand from collectors. Each error coin is one of a kind, and the rarer the mistake, the higher the potential value. This is why collectors always check their 1967 quarters carefully, because valuable errors do exist, and those coins are worth much more than 25 cents. The design of the 1967 Washington quarter also adds to its timeless appeal. The obverse shows the profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, a design that had been in use since 1932 and remained unchanged for decades. The reverse features the bold heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, symbolizing strength and peace. This iconic design is one of the most recognizable in American coinage. Collectors appreciate that the 1967 issue represents a continuation of this classic design, but also stands out because of its unique historical context. Being one of only 3 years with no mint marks, the 1967 Washington quarter is an important piece of the series and one that collectors seek out for complete sets. One factor that adds to the interest in the 1967 Washington quarter is the quality of strikes from the era. Because the mint was rushing to meet demand, strike quality was often inconsistent. Many 1967 quarters show weakness in detail, particularly in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Finding a coin with a sharp strike is more difficult, and those examples are more valuable. Collectors also value coins with strong eye appeal, meaning coins that still have their original mint luster and have not been damaged by cleaning or environmental factors. A bright, sharply struck 1967 quarter is far scarcer than people realize, and those coins bring higher prices on the collector market. Collectors today recognize that while the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark may not contain silver, it still holds real collectible value. It represents the early years of clad coinage, the elimination of mint marks, and the challenges the mint faced during a nationwide coin shortage. High-grade coins, special mint set examples, and rare air varieties can all be worth much more than face value. This means that when you look at a 1967 quarter, you should not see it as just another piece of loose change, but as a potential treasure. That is why collectors and coin enthusiasts pay attention to this coin, and why it remains valuable today. Even casual collectors who start with coins found in change often focus on the 1967 quarter because of its unique place in history. It teaches important lessons about the transition from silver to clad coinage, about how mint marks were removed during a critical period, and about how ordinary-looking coins can in fact be valuable. Many people still have jars of coins or boxes of change that have not been checked in years, and among them could be a pristine 1967 Washington quarter or even a rare error. That is why it is always worth taking a closer look at this date. The key takeaway is that the 1967 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark is valuable. It may not look different from other quarters at first glance, but its history, its condition rarity, its special mint set issues, and its potential for valuable mint errors make it an important coin to study and collect. Every collector should know what to look for, because hidden among ordinary coins could be a 1967 quarter worth far more than 25 cents. This is why the coin remains popular with collectors, and why the search for high-quality examples continues today. So the 1967 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark is not just an everyday coin. It is a valuable reminder of a turning point in U.S. coinage history, a collectible that connects us to the changes of the 1960s, and a piece that can hold significant value in the right circumstances. Whether you find one in pristine mint state, from a special mint set, or with a rare error, the 1967 Washington quarter has real collectible worth. That is why this coin is valuable, and why you should always pay close attention whenever you come across it. Next up, the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with the D mint mark is a coin that many people overlook, yet it is a very important and potentially valuable piece of United States coinage. Struck at the Denver Mint, the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark belongs to the long-running Washington quarter series that began in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. By 1980, the design by John Flanagan was still in use, featuring the profile of Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. At first glance, most people think of the 1980 Washington quarter as just another piece of pocket change, but when you understand the details of condition, mint errors, strike quality, and collector demand, you realize that this coin can actually be valuable. That is why it deserves careful attention from collectors and coin enthusiasts, because the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark can be worth far more than its face value of 25 cents under the right circumstances. The 1980 Washington quarter dollar was struck from copper-nickel clad composition, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition had been standard since 1965, after the U.S. Mint permanently removed silver from circulating quarters. By 1980, Americans were fully accustomed to clad coinage, but collectors today recognize that each year and mint carries its own significance. The Denver Mint produced millions of 1980 Washington quarters with the D mint mark, but even among such a large mintage, finding examples in pristine mint state condition is not easy. Most of the coins entered circulation immediately and were used heavily, resulting in wear, scratches, and loss of luster. However, high-grade coins with sharp detail and brilliant surfaces are much scarcer, and those are the coins that can be valuable. One of the main reasons the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark can be valuable is because of condition rarity. While circulated coins are common and usually only worth face value, uncirculated coins graded at the highest levels can bring significant premiums. Collectors and investors are willing to pay strong prices for coins that show exceptional strike quality, clean surfaces, and full mint luster. The difference in value between a worn quarter and a pristine gem mint state example is dramatic. A regular circulated 1980 D quarter might buy you a gumball, but a top-graded coin could be worth many dollars or even more depending on demand. That is why collectors examine these coins closely and search for the finest possible examples. Another factor that makes the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark valuable is the possibility of mint errors. During the minting process, mistakes sometimes occurred, and coins with unusual errors are prized by collectors. For 1980 quarters, known errors include off-center strikes, clip planchets, die cracks, and double dies. A double die coin might show doubling in the date, lettering, or parts of Washington's profile, and such coins are much more valuable than regular issues. Off-center strikes, where the design is not properly centered, create dramatic and collectible coins. Clip planchets, where a portion of the blank metal was missing before striking, are another variety collectors seek. These error coins are far scarcer than normal strikes and can sell for many times face value, making the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark even more exciting to search for. The design itself also contributes to the enduring popularity of the Washington quarter series. The obverse features the bold portrait of George Washington, the nation's first president, while the reverse shows the heraldic eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. By 1980, this design had already been in circulation for nearly half a century, making it familiar to generations of Americans. Collectors value the continuity of the design, and every year and mint mark adds to the completeness of a Washington quarter collection. The 1980 D mint mark issue is an important part of this long story, representing the late clad era before design changes came later in the decade. Another detail that adds to the interest of the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark is strike quality. Coins struck at the Denver Mint in this period often show good detail, but not all coins were struck equally. Some have weak details in Washington's hair or in the eagle's feathers, while others show sharper impressions. Collectors pay attention to these details, and coins with especially strong strikes are more desirable. Eye appeal also plays a big role in value, with coins that still have their original shine and have not been damaged by cleaning or environmental factors commanding higher prices. So even among coins of the same year and mint, the difference in quality can make a big difference in value. Collectors and coin enthusiasts know that coins like the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark are valuable because they combine history, rarity, and demand. While silver was no longer part of the composition by 1980, the coin still represents an important era in American coinage. Many families saved quarters from circulation in the 1980s, but only a small percentage have survived in top condition. That is why collectors search through rolls of quarters, old jars of change, and inherited coin collections, hoping to find a hidden gem from 1980. When such a coin is discovered in pristine condition or with an unusual mint error, it can be worth far more than anyone expects. The key takeaway is that the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark is valuable. It might seem like just another coin in your pocket, but the truth is that high-grade examples and error varieties are worth real money. Whether you are a casual collector checking your change or a serious numismatist building a complete Washington quarter set, the 1980 D quarter should never be ignored. It is part of U.S. history. It represents the era of copper-nickel-clad coinage, and under the right circumstances, it is far more than a 25-cent coin. That is why collectors around the world continue to search for, study, and treasure this coin. So the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark is not just an everyday coin. It is a valuable collectible that holds hidden worth, a reminder that even coins that look ordinary can surprise you with their value. From pristine mint state examples to rare mint errors, this coin has the potential to be worth much more than face value. That is why you should always check your coins carefully, because the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark is valuable and continues to capture the attention of collectors everywhere. Next up, the 1998 Washington quarter dollar with the D mint mark is one of those coins that might appear ordinary at first glance, but it is actually a very important and valuable piece of United States coinage. Struck at the Denver Mint, this quarter represents the final years of the traditional Washington quarter design before the historic launch of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. That alone gives the 1998 Washington quarter a special place in coin collecting, because it marks the end of an era. The D mint mark indicates the Denver Mint, and while millions were produced, not all are equal. The 1998 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark can be valuable depending on condition, strike quality, and the presence of rare errors. That is why this coin deserves careful attention from collectors and coin enthusiasts, because under the right circumstances, the 1998 Washington quarter with D mint mark can be worth far more than its face value of 25 cents. The Washington quarter series began in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and by 1998, John Flanagan classic design of Washington's profile on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse had been used for decades. The 1998 issue is one of the very last coins to carry this eagle reverse design before it was replaced by the rotating state-themed reverses. This makes the 1998 Washington quarter with D mint mark historically significant because it stands at the transition between the long-standing design and the most successful modern coin program ever created. Collectors who want a complete set of Washington quarters or want to capture the final years of the eagle reverse include the 1998 Denver Mint issue as a key part of their collection. That built-in demand is one of the reasons this coin is valuable. The coin itself is struck from copper-nickel clad, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This clad composition had been in use since 1965. After silver was removed from circulating quarters. By 1998, Americans were used to clad quarters, but collectors today know that every year and every mint mark carries its own unique features. The Denver Mint produced millions of 1998 quarters, But finding high-grade survivors is not always easy. Most of these coins entered circulation immediately, and heavy use caused wear, scratches, and dulling of the original luster. That is why coins in pristine mint state condition are much scarcer and more valuable. Condition plays a critical role in the value of the 1998 Washington quarter with D mint mark. Circulated examples are common and generally only worth face value, but high-grade mint state coins with sharp details, clean surfaces, and blazing luster can command strong premiums. Collectors prize coins that are free of contact marks and show full design detail, especially in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. The difference in value between a circulated quarter and a gem-quality mint state example is dramatic. Some of the finest surviving coins have sold for many dollars, proving that the 1998 D quarter is more than just pocket change. For collectors seeking the best examples to complete their sets, the value of high-grade coins is very real. Era coins are another reason the 1998 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark can be valuable. Mistakes during production sometimes result in rare and collectible varieties. Examples include double die errors, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, clip planchets, and other unusual mistakes. A double die might show doubling on the date, lettering, or parts of Washington's portrait, and these coins are far more valuable than standard issues. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing or shifted, also attract strong interest. Clipped planchets, which show curved cuts on the edge of the coin, are another desirable era type. Each of these era coins is scarcer and worth more than a normal strike, and collectors pay significant premiums for them. That means even a 1998 D quarter that looks unusual should be checked carefully, because it could be a valuable mint era. The design of the 1998 Washington quarter adds to its appeal as well. The obverse with George Washington's profile is one of the most iconic images in American coinage, and the reverse with the heraldic eagle perched on arrows and olive branches is a powerful national symbol. By 1998, this design had been a part of American life for more than 60 years, and the Denver Mint issue of that year stands among the last of its kind. That historical connection makes the 1998 Washington quarter with D mint mark not just valuable in money terms, but also valuable as a collectible piece of American history. Collectors who appreciate the artistry of classic designs and the transition to modern coinage know that the 1998 Denver quarter is significant. Another factor that adds to the potential value of the 1998 Washington quarter with D mint mark is strike quality. While Denver Mint coins from this period are often well struck, not all were produced with the same sharpness. Some coins show weakness in the details of Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers, while others show crisp, full detail. Collectors look for the sharpest strikes and pay more for coins that show superior craftsmanship. Eye appeal also matters, with coins that still have brilliant, original surfaces being far more desirable than those that are dull or discolored. This is why not all 1998 D quarters are the same. The best-looking examples are truly valuable. For collectors, the 1998 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark also has sentimental and historical importance. It represents the end of an era before the launch of the state quarters program, which completely changed the way people viewed and collected coins. Many families saved quarters during the state quarters program, but fewer people paid attention to the last years of the eagle design. That means fewer pristine examples of the 1998 D quarter were set aside, and high-quality survivors are scarcer today. This scarcity in top condition adds to the value of the coin, making it even more appealing to collectors. The key takeaway is that the 1998 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark is valuable. It may look like an ordinary piece of pocket change, but in reality, it holds real collectible worth. From pristine mint state examples that command premiums to rare era coins that can sell for significant amounts, the 1998 Denver Mint Washington quarter is much more than a simple 25-cent coin. Collectors and coin enthusiasts around the world continue to search for the best examples, and every time one is found in top condition or with a rare era, it proves just how valuable this coin can be. So the 1998 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark should never be overlooked. It is a coin of history, marking the final chapter of a classic design before one of the most popular coin programs in U.S. history. It is a coin of condition, where high-grade survivors are worth much more than face value. And it is a coin of rarity, where errors and unusual varieties bring premiums from collectors. That is why this coin is valuable, why it remains popular, and why you should always pay close attention to any 1998 D quarter you come across. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. As you've seen, these Washington quarter dollar coins are not just ordinary coins, they are valuable pieces of history, and some of them can be worth far more than face value. Collectors and coin enthusiasts everywhere continue to search for these quarters because of their rarity, condition, and hidden potential value. If you enjoyed learning about these coins, I highly recommend that you go and watch my previous video where I talked all about Roosevelt 1 dimes, another fascinating and valuable series of U.S. coins that you definitely don't want to miss. And before you leave, please take just a moment to subscribe to my channel. By subscribing, you'll stay updated with all of my upcoming videos about rare coins, valuable coins, and hidden treasures that could be sitting in your pocket right now. I would truly appreciate your support, and it only takes one click to join this growing community of coin collectors. So don't forget, watch my Roosevelt 1 dimes video next, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss out on the next valuable coin.